Okay. Anyway, all right. This is going to be available later on, so we'll continue on like we normally would. What is happening today is that we are going to test out some live systems where we cover the Super Draft. First time we've done this. In the past on ICF, we used to do a live show. We used to do it with video sometimes, but that was a system that had been set up over years of practice. So bear with us for any kinks today. We'll figure it out as we go along. We're going to try and break this down a little bit more. We'll have a regular podcast wrap-up of this in the days ahead as well. For those of us that are crazy enough to want to look at us, we're in the Google Hangouts. And if you really want to join us and talk to us, you can do so through there. We'll repeat this a few more times, and also, I dropped my phone. I've already dropped my phone. Live behind the curtain, folks. God, I drop my phone 8 times a day.
Which phone is it? At least it might not. Is it broken yet, or is your screen fine?
This one's lasted quite a while. I have a little black dots all over the screen. It's an iPhone. It's a 4S. It's not very good. Anyway, all right. That's. Yeah, Kevin, what are your thoughts on the draft? What do you hope the Impact get out of that number 3 pick?
It's a good question.
Oh, yeah? Is this thing on yet? All right. Folks, we're going to have to ramble a lot here. I think the biggest piece of news today that we'll talk about while we're waiting to get the draft started is whether calling the MLS MVP award, the Landon Donovan Award, a man who only won the damn thing once, is anything remotely rational. And we being Canadians here, we're both disadvantaged to have this conversation because we're inclined to make fun of Americans, and we're also qualified to have it because we don't care about Landon Donovan as some kind of legend. I don't know if naming your league MVP after the 10,000th best player of all time in world football is necessarily, if you're looking to be a world-class league, what you're looking to do. But at any rate, that's what it is. I think it also sort of reflects something I talk about how MLS forgets that we exist sometimes.
All the time?
Yeah, Landon Donovan doesn't mean anything to Canadians at all. He was a decent player that was maybe the 3rd best player on the LA Galaxy.
Yeah. Yeah. To be fair, he was the best player for a long time, though, with the Galaxy.
Yeah, no, he was a very good player, an above-average MLS player, no doubt.
But Beckham really overshadowed him in the last couple of years at the end of his career, though, and then Keane. So I still don't get it why his name is going to be there. You're right. He wasn't the best. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be that. I just refuse to accept it right now. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be called. Why not D-Row? D-Row had probably more impact on MLS. Nah, maybe not. But I don't know, Duane. Really not happy with that.
Yeah, whatever. It is what it is. It's an award. No one's going to tell. It's still going to be the MVP. People will still, in the MLSsoccer.com, they'll call it the Landon Donovan Award. They'll talk about it in an official podcast. But most people, when they're casually talking about the award, are going to call it the MVP award. As I said on Twitter when this was announced, Landon Donovan was a fine player, but Wayne Gretzky doesn't have an NHL award named after him.
Yeah, true.
You need to be a legend of the sport to have awards named after you, and Landon Donovan's not a legend in soccer. He's a legend amongst a very small portion of American soccer fans that happen to be domestically focused. And by legend, he's just a guy that they really, really liked. It'd be like, I really, really like Pablo Zabaleta. We're not going to name an award after him. Landon Donovan is Pablo Zabaleta. I'm going to start doing that. The Zabaleta Award for Defender of the Year in MLS. What do you think, guys?
The Zabbies.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
Who's going to win it? Who's the best defender? It'll probably be like Omar Gonzalez. Let's get the Omar Gonzalez Award. It'll be the same as, say, the Donovan Award.
Yeah, fair enough.
You're right. We are being forgotten all the time in Canada. And, yeah, can you imagine if somebody from Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver wins the first ever Donovan Award?
They go look at it and go, what? I don't know. I'm so glad he did. He played in Montreal. How was his reaction in Montreal in his final game up there?
Neither hot or cold. It wasn't more than any time. If people don't even know him. He's not a star in Canada. People don't be like, oh, let's go to the stadium and let's go see Donovan. They're like, no, oh, look, Donovan's playing. That's about it. Even the diehards are like, Donovan, he doesn't have the charisma to either love him that much or hate him that much when you're not implicated in the market where he's in. And for us in Canada right now, it's like, yeah, look at that player. Yeah, he's good. He's good. But that's about it.
Yeah, about it. Yeah, absolutely. Folks, on Twitter might be the best way to get a hold of us. If you are watching this, can you let us know if any quality issues, whatever, all that sort of stuff? It's our computers are running really slow. We're gonna have to figure some memory stuff out when we do this moving forward. So we can't really watch other stuff. I'm trying to get the MLS feed up right now, and I'm a little bit worried about that. But we'll figure it out on some level.
Mine's actually playing in the background with the countdown being decent, like we're not missing any seconds. So I think should be fine to watch the Super Draft. And worst case scenario, could always do just audio.
Yeah, well, I think we'll stick with the photos for now. But at any rate, let me just, guys, I'm just going to check a couple settings here, and then we'll go moving forward. I'm trying to jump between different things.
And if you want to reach us on Twitter, you can reach Duane at 24th Minute, and you can reach me at Kev Laramée. You can always reach us at Two Solitudes Pod as well. On YouTube, comments below, so right down here, you can leave a comment, and I'll be able to see it. Or on Google Plus, on the Hangout, you can always leave a question in the Q&A or leave an answer if you like. Or you can always give us a call and join us in the Google Plus if you'd like to chat about the Super Draft live here on this MLS Two Solitudes Podcast Super Show live.
Yes. And right now I'm trying to get between two folders here, and I'm having technical issues on my end, so bear with me, folks, as I try and click around and figure out how the hell to get my tabs back.
Good luck with that, Duane. But
it's just, yeah, it's give me the Hangout thing. I can't get anything beyond it.
Just put it, click tab, like move it to tab below, and then you'll be able to do something else.
Well, yeah, but it's separate. It came in a different window, so I can't get the. Like it popped up, right? So I can't find the other thing. I'm trying
the joy of technology. Still, though, we'll be able to record this, and it's there live. It still amazes me how it's still easy to do a broadcast of some sort.
Yes. Well, I'm hearing that it's working fine. Ben Rycroft has chimed in to say that this is, I said that it's 50% less Rycroft like the ICF days, and he says it's 100% less headaches for him. There's no Jägermeister on the church steps, unfortunately, today, although maybe I have some vodka in the freezer. If this thing starts to go really sideways, we can do that.
So let's talk about the Super Draft. About 8 minutes before the start, we'll see Don Garber appear on our screen, but before that, is there a chance that Orlando are going to trade the first spot, or are they going to pick Kyle Larin?
I think they're going to pick Kyle Larin. I think that's interesting. It's great news for Canadian soccer. Would Kyle Larin have gone number one in the Super Draft 10 years ago? I think he's a great prospect, and I think he's going to have a great MLS career, but I'm not 100% sure he would have. I mean, the fact that Jordan Hamilton is starting ahead of him with the U20s suggests to me that he wouldn't have. And I think that I wrote a very brief in my intro to this that you'll see on CSN right now that TFC won the draft already. And I'm being a bit flippant in the language, but they won the draft in the sense that if this draft had happened 10 years ago and they managed to get two players that were ranked in the top 10 in terms of prospects, the Soccer by Aves people in the world out there would be writing stories at the end of this saying TFC won the draft. They have Jay Chapman, who was the Big Ten midfielder of the year, a kid the TFC Academy cut in 2011. Dutch philosophy. And they almost lost, and now they got him back. And Jordan Hamilton, who I think might be the best prospect out there that no one's talking about. Is he Dom Dwyer too? No one's talking about that, and maybe we shouldn't talk about it to jinx it, but it's possible.
Quick comeback, Duane, on the Landon Donovan situation. Raphaël Laroxir with Soccer Sans Frontières just tweeted at us. Thanks for listening, Raphaël. He says, can you imagine if Villa from New York wins the Landon Donovan MVP award next year? He's going to have to go on Google and see, who's Landon Donovan? What's that MVP thing?
That is true, Frank Lampard. I hope Frank Lampard wins it myself. That's my favorite. I
hope that he doesn't, because if you can see on this right about here, not happy about the Lampard situation.
Yeah, whatever.
Exactly.
I I am so. Look, I have explained this many times before. I will not quote unquote support NYCFC. I think they're hilarious right now. How much people hate them. I think they're going to be brilliant for the league because everyone hates them. And
you need a heel. You need a heel. Like, imagine people are going to get behind them. They want to see them get beat. It's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got the other part of this is you've got the whole like. Insecurities of MLS come out with this thing, right? Like, oh, how dare they be a farm team? I'll tell you what, if Manchester City gave like their 20 through 40th best player to MLS, absolutely would. So we'll see. I think they're going to be good. They have Jason Kreis, who always won there. I mean, yes, Frank Lampard, fiasco.
No, but I think Kreis, like you said, Kreis is the key situation there. Like, he won everywhere. He knows how to put the foundation. And he's the one thing that all the franchise, the expansion in the last couple one, including Montreal and Vancouver, did not do 100% fully. Get somebody with experience and knowledge, not just in the league, but of everything surrounding MLS. And that's what Jason Kreis will bring to New York.
Absolutely. And, in terms of Lampard part, yes, it's a PR fiasco. I have no doubt that if I were a new fan of NYCFC and I had no affiliation to Manchester City whatsoever, I would be frustrated, upset, and angry about that. But in terms of what it means to the on-the-pitch product, next to nothing. They're going to be successful moving forward based on the talent that they have. And Frank Lampard was only ever going to play a couple years there anyway. So there you go.
And slowly the feed is starting, Duane. We have the beginning of the Super Draft here live on Two Solitudes Super Show.
It's just black on my screen here.
To me, it's like a Diero. I guess it's a sponsor of the Super Draft. Can you believe it? They even have sponsors. That thing's a whole cash grab.
The Super Draft, the Special Draft, the not so good, the Mediocre Draft. Seriously, why is this not playing for me? Oh, there you go.
I was reading an article how, and we've talked about this many times on the Two Solitudes, how the percentage of people who actually come out of the Super Draft and have an impactful career with their team is very dismal, at the least.
Yeah, top 5 picks. I'll give you those numbers real quick, and I'm doing them off the top of my head, but it's decent in the top 5.
Yeah,
it has been. It's about 50%. If you're looking at the top 2, you're looking at about 90%. And when I'm the numbers I'm using, I'm using the measure of appearances as my identifying whether they're useful players or not. You know, if a player plays, he's useful. 9.
Yeah, for sure.
Duration of their time so far, so it'd be 75% of the games up to 5 years, and then I cap it at 5 years. And when I do that tracking, I probably will update those numbers after the draft. I didn't have time moving into it, but they've remained pretty consistent.
If you're looking just in the Canadian side, just last year, out all 3 Canadian teams, there's not even 3 players left that are actually playing with the team. In Montreal, there's only 1 left, and that's Eric Miller. Granted, he had a decent first year in MLS, but if not for him and Callum Ellis, the last 3 years have been just a waste of time for the Super Draft, for the impact at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I am going to let you ramble for a bit there, Kevin, while I try and figure out why the hell I can't play the video from MLS here. All right, it's giving me the YouTube page, and it's just grinding, so this is going to be some entertaining things. What is this doing to me?
I couldn't tell you, but that sometimes technology has its limitation. But so far, it's just a Super Draft Philly 15 screen. It's playing. It's been 2 minutes and 45 seconds now that it's been live. But
I'm getting to stand by.
Okay, you're getting there. Don't worry.
So I'm behind, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
This is riveting for the viewers, I'm sure, but yeah.
It's riveting. We actually have like 40 viewers right now on Google Plus, which is probably 40 more than I thought we had. So thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks.
And let us know on Twitter. Any questions right now? Who do you think? Who's your prediction for the first pick? You got maybe 10 minutes before they announce the first pick for Orlando City SC, for all the hipsters out there. Who do you think is gonna get the first pick? Is it gonna be Cal Laren? Will it go maybe Nick Bessler, who's maybe slotted to be third? Non-generation Adidas there, who might be in the top 5. We haven't seen that in a long time. Or is Cal Laren going to be as expected and get the first nod in the 2015 Super Draft for a Canadian? That would be awesome.
It says, what's the sponsor name there? I'm very excited about my technology improvements here. This is speeding through my thing. I got a little MLS watermark on the top of the screen. I think I'm live to go, guys.
You're very close to live.
Kevin, am I here?
Yeah, you're here.
Oh, okay. You weren't responding. I couldn't hear it. I thought maybe I dropped.
Well, sometimes you did drop it in and out in the last couple of minutes, but you always come back.
Okay, fair enough.
It's better
All
than
right.
Skype. To be honest, the sound is better than Skype, so we're good. We have so many issues with Skype over the weeks. Well, it's still broadcasting right now on... They're late. Shocking. MLS doesn't start on time. That's very shocking to me.
Orlando City has called a timeout, and everyone boos. That's the best thing about this draft is the fans that are trying really hard to care. It's cute in a lot of ways.
And
They
what
get
I like
rowdy.
is the exact second I say they're late, the feed just started. The live is draft now, live to Super Draft.
Once again, I've
Totally.
lost it. All right, Kevin, you're going to have to give me the visuals while I try and find the damn thing again on my screen. Which
No
once again,
problem. It's just started. Don Garber is actually walking and making its way to the
Oh! No, wait, I'm not supposed to do that. I'm objective.
podium. Red card. Duane, you're going to get a red card. Careful. It's going to be interesting right now. No trade so far. Maybe 5 minutes before they announce if Orlando gets it. I think there might be a trade. Probably not. It's not going to be any surprises. When's the last time was there any surprise in the Super Draft?
I don't know. Does anyone follow college soccer enough to make it a surprise?
No. And that's another thing. I was trying to explain to my father yesterday how it worked and how the best players this year might not even be in the Super Draft but during the academy system, and he was so confused, and I don't blame him.
Well, if your father grew up in a hockey system, in a North American system, it's outside the norm. It's a hybrid system because it's Europeans get confused by it too. Because why the hell are we having a draft? I'm not even crazy. I don't like drafts. I really don't. I'm a bit of a pinko when it comes to labor rights anyway, and I think that it's absurd that we take a 19-year-old kid and go, "You're going to live in New York, and you're going to live in Columbus."
That's a great
you're
way
gonna-
to do it, Duane. I saw an article. I saw it on Twitter. I can't remember where it's from, the source, but they talk about how it's on the La 90e minute. Mark Tuga, he interviewed Eric Miller, and it's really weird for them to be told where you're going to live for the next couple of years, where you're going to work, and have almost no say about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I disagree.
Imagine
with it
being
completely.
going to Columbus. Who would go to Columbus? You get Columbus. You're like, oh, damn it.
We make fun of Columbus, but it is not a bad town. But it's certainly not
It's
the place that
Columbus.
you're going to necessarily going to go out of your way to go to. Is there anything on your screen? Because I'm still getting nothing on mine.
Yep, we have a podium of 3 talking heads talking about the draft, and I don't even know who those guys are. I know MLS. I watch it all the time, and there's 3 random dudes that are talking to us about Kyle Aaron, basically. So,
That's good.
yeah, there's going to
Remember
be 2 rounds right now. 21 selection per rounds. 4 minutes per pick. Timeout, 1 per team. Wait, they actually have timeouts.
There you go. Well, yeah, they got it when they're talking drafts. They have timeouts in all drafts now, but drafts are such an American thing. Like when I say American, I'm referring. Oh, I have sound.
And Don Gerber's at the podium. Hashtag Super Draft.
Okay, I gotta get live here.
You think? Look on the bottom on your feed if you can actually put it live. If it's not,
Yeah, it keeps jumping back is what happens. I don't know what the hell it's doing.
maybe it's buffering of some sort. I couldn't tell you. But Don Gerber's actually not even mic'd. His sound is not even on, and people are booing.
What's happening right now, Kevin? Oh, there's Don.
Okay,
Are
there's
they showing a
with
guy on his
mask.
smartphone right now? Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, there was, and the guy in Deadpool violet
Okay,
mask.
I think I'm live then, man.
Orlando City is officially the hipsters team because there's a guy dressed in an Orlando City Deadpool. So yeah,
Awesome.
they win the hipsters trophy already. Just give
Oh,
him the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. the Hipsters Trophy.
And we're going to have to be gentle with our Orlando fans because they are going to remind us that they have invented things that we learned many years ago in the near future. Oh, it's a mask. Anyway.
He saw it.
At one point, that man woke up this morning and thought he was going to wear a mask to a draft. I'd just like to say that. What is he talking about?
Talking about the expansion teams.
It keeps looping in my system. This is the most frustrating thing ever. Like, I'm just hearing the same thing over and over again. Oh, good God. Anyway.
Speaking about how it's going to be the largest contingent of new international players in MLS next year.
Oh, there you go.
That's a good thing, but will it ever happen? It's like Miami. I don't see a team ever going to Miami. And look at that ugly logo background.
What is this doing? Sorry, I know this is enlightening for the people out there, but my feed just keeps looping, and I cannot get it live for some reason.
Pause it and wait a couple seconds, let it buffer it or something.
It's like my computer is struggling here. At any rate, folks, let's talk about something else before we lose all of our listeners.
Well, Orlando are not going to trade it. Do they need a striker that badly? Will they maybe pick somebody else than Kyle Laramée? I don't see it happening.
That's been the suggestion for a while, and I can speak with a little bit of knowledge of this from talking to from Kyle a couple times, talking to people around Kyle, talking to a few sources that I know down in the NCAA system and all that sort of stuff. That it's been. I said a few months ago that he was going to go top 2 because both of the expansion teams are absolutely interested in him. So if he doesn't go to Orlando, New York will pick him. But
there's a lot of Orlando fans. There's about 50 Orlando fans in the crowd right now. That's mind-boggling.
Yeah. Well, they're excited. TFC traveled to its first draft, too. Fans did. They don't necessarily go anymore. I don't think you'll see any TFC fans down there.
Probably not.
No. Well, I mean, look, you're looking at, like I said, those numbers. They're a lot of new fans to the league, and I'm not trying to be dismissive of them. They look at a draft and they think of it in the context of drafts in other leagues they're familiar with. And a draft in the NHL or the NBA or the NFL, if you're an NFL fan, they're huge. They're massive because they're vital to the team's development. Whereas, as we said a minute ago, MLS is a hybrid league, and it just doesn't matter as much, and the players don't work out, and you're drafting bit pieces rather than stars in a lot of cases.
Good question here. We have Duane from Vince Alvaredo at Vince by Demand, who's asking us our thoughts on Straith maybe demanding too much of Toronto and Montreal.
Sorry, repeat that, Kevin.
There's a question we have from Vince on Twitter. Thoughts?
Oh, it's Adam Straith.
Yeah, Straith demanding too much of Toronto and Montreal.
It's possible. I mean, certainly that's always been the complication with Canadian internationals coming back to MLS is because they're used to getting a salary at a lower level in Europe that MLS simply can't match for their talent level. That has absolutely been an issue for years. Mm-hmm. Part of that's the market, and I don't want to dismiss their right to go after as much money as they can, but the reality is MLS is a complicated league in terms of salaries, and if you have only a set amount of teams in which you're domestics in, you can almost push that price up because you're a commodity that's needed for them. It's not as bad now as that the Canadian quota is not that high, but back in the early days at TFC, that was a major issue, and it's one of the reasons, and I know fans outside of Toronto don't like to give any sort of credit or any sort of excuse to Toronto, but they had to put 8 domestic players on the pitch in the first year, and those 8 players all held them ransom in terms of their salary, and it blew their salary budget out of the water. That was absolutely an issue, and that still is at play today, and that could be something there. Adam Straith has more power as a domestic, and he says, fine, if you want me, you can have me at this number. They don't want him, they walk away.
It's a very good talking point.
What's this one? Rumors that Izzy might have been traded or left the Impact for good. I haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything on your end?
No, I haven't heard anything. That would be interesting. Issei never really found his place, if that's true, in the team, and I wouldn't be that surprised. There's a lot of midfield players, especially with Piatti being here full-time now and probably be in good physical shape, too.
Inhumane?
Humane.
Okay, now who's the English speaker here, Kevin? I can't talk.
I have, like I always say, I have 2 second languages.
There you go. All right, Don, shut up. Yeah, that generation Adidas. There's some talk about this being the last. It's interesting to me that this draft is not on ESPN. In the past few years, they have been. They've completely cut this back. That suggests to me that they are in a scaled-down version for this draft. They are going to keep hyping it up and calling it the Super Draft and all that sort of jazz, but I think even internally now they recognize that the future is the academies, and this is an illustration of that. Smallest generation Adidas class ever. They nickeled and dimed the generation Adidas class because they recognize that the top talent is staying in the academies now.
Yeah.
Kyle Larn is an outlier. He would be a top talent regardless. He's a guy that could have been
in theory, he's a guy from academy though.
It's from Sigma, yeah.
Even if it's not a MLS academy, he's an academy player. He's an academy product. He didn't learn how to play Connecticut. Oh, no, here's Donovan. Here we go. Donovan, people, the MVP.
Yeah, I think I'm caught up with you, by the way.
Yeah, it's live.
Yeah, I'm hearing he's talking about Landon now.
What do you guys think about Donovan being the MVP trophy name now? Let us know on Twitter. What do you guys think? We're not happy here in Two Solitudes Podcast, but what you guys think?
Well, that's sort of like I'm not going to go burn down BMO.
Think D-Rose gets an award named after him? Arguably number 2 behind Donovan of all time. So what?
D-Rose,
best second finisher? The guy with the silver boot?
He barely get 100 goals as a midfielder. He barely gets acknowledged in his final season. Meanwhile, we had a friggin' parade in every city. But like I said to you, I am so glad that they did not bring him to Toronto because our management is so stupid that they would have dragged him out front, and all you would have heard is the wheels in the bus go round and round, round and round. And I'm not going to finish that on a live show, but if you in Toronto know how that song ends, and it wouldn't have been pretty for the league, and we would have had, Bill Archer writing 7,000-word columns on Big Soccer about how evil we all were.
But it's true, though. D-Ro had almost no recognition. And look, I got Mauro Biello on me, got a blue scarf. I'm not necessarily a big D-Ro fan here. But I have to admit, on an objective level, that D-Ro's been forgotten a lot. And we can't forget about Donovan because he's everywhere.
Yeah. There was D-Ro put some speculation out there because they're training the Canadian national team, and by the way, Canada plays tomorrow at 4:30 on BN Sports. If you're in Toronto, Scallywags up at Yonge and St. Clair, that is where we're gathering at 4:30 to watch that game. If you're in Toronto, if you've never come out to the Voyageurs event before, by all means, come out and drink with awkward men. That will be awesome. So we invite you out to that for sure. I confirmed it with the bar today that they'll be playing it. We need to support that. 3 o'clock this afternoon as well. The Canadian U20s play. For those that don't know, big game. They need to win.
Duane, official breaking news. Official right now. The Super Draft has started. They're on the clock. The Lions are on the clock right now. Officially, the franchise exists right now.
I'm still a little bit behind you then because I have Landon still talking on my screen. I have a request to sing more. I don't know if that's serious or not. Instead of singing more, I'm going to show you my banana.
Like another Felipe Ponce, listener of the show, is saying about Donovan right now. Yeah, he likes the guy, but man, does MLS do a fine job of shoving him down our throat. Hashtag LD.
It speaks to, and I sound like the bitter Canadian when I say this, but it speaks to their myopic thinking about how this league should be marketed to us. They need a Canadian office so that they approach us differently. We don't care about Landon Donovan.
We'll do it gladly. We'll be more than happy to be the office. Look, I can do it right now. I got MLS all over here. I even have like vintage and whatever. We can do it. Just have a Canadian office at least. It's the least they could do, Duane.
They have a West Coast office. Why don't they have a Canadian office? And now we're seeing shots. I'm live now, by the way. Shots of the. Why is everyone so excited about purple? Who cares? It's purple.
Exactly. It's purple. I don't know, Duane. But it's something different, I have to say. The whole feel and them playing with the new renovated Citrus Bowl, it's going to be impressive next year.
Yeah.
And if I can make my way down there, it'll be way more fun to go there at the beginning of the season than to go somewhere cold like here or Toronto.
Well, yeah, for sure. Well, he's not going to Canada. They're talking about Kyle Larin in the broadcast now. If for some reason you're listening to us over there, not listening to them, I believe he'll play and play regularly at Orlando, and that's one of the reasons I've always wanted him to. I kind of wanted him to go to NYCFC for a little bit of selfish reasons, because I had heard that one of the things he had been promised by NYCFC was a training stint with Manchester City's first team next spring. Even taking my bias aside.
But that's interesting, though. The fact that New York can promise that to player, it's a drawing factor. It can help the player change his mind to choose a city. If New York can actually bring him to practice with Manchester and giving more technical advice or whatever, it could be good for them.
Absolutely,
I think that Orlando needs a right back, a winner, and a center back. I think they need a lot. Like, they need everything. They just don't need that. They don't have a team.
Well, they have Kaká.
Yeah, you know what that means in French, right?
It means that in English too. Where'd my pop go, Kevin?
People are saying that, damn, you're really angry today, Duane, apparently.
Today's podcast brought to you by Pepsi.
Well, it's going to be...
there isn't any rum.
1 minute approximately left for Orlando before they announce probably Kyle Larin, because we keep seeing images of Kyle Larin over and over again. So
I believe the broadcast is now saying that, the guys there get tipped about a minute before they go to the podium.
Wow, that's transparent.
We're listening.
Yes.
Yep. Kyle Larin, first Canadian, first pick in the Super Draft.
It's Kyle Larin.
Surprise, surprise. Something I've been reporting for months.
Tweet at us at Two Solitudes Pod, at 24th Minute, or at Kev Laramée right now on this very first edition of the live Super Draft Super Show. Kyle Larin, first Canadian ever to be first picked in MLS Super Draft.
And he will be playing this afternoon at 3 o'clock on illegal streams everywhere in Canada.
Congratulations to Sigma FC, their first ever Super Draft #1 pick for a private academy that usually... but their goal is to get people a scholarship and education. But on top of that, now they have a player with a pro career. And that is a path that can be followed by a lot of young people. So congrats to Sigma as well.
Kyle Becker was also a Sigma cadre as well. So that's their first rounder. But this is funny. The Toronto FC account tweets out, "Congratulations to Canada's own Kyle Larin on being the first pick of the 2015 Super Draft. Make Canada proud, not just against us." And then it was deleted. So someone doesn't want John to be talking about the Canadian national team. So we'll just think that's kind of funny.
I don't think that's really new, though. Do you hear any MLS team?
Yeah. This is good for a Canadian national program. Kyle Larin needs to be playing.
An American MLS club, Vince saying on Twitter.
Yeah. Orlando's going to be hard to like, I think, but that's just me. We'll see how that goes.
Well, New York's going to be hard to like. Orlando's going to be everybody's.
I think New York's going to be fine. They're going to be spectacular. They're up next. Oh, I hope they play the villain. They should come up and you just be evil and drop the mic and something like that. That'd be awesome.
Make a trade. It's like, we acquire Frank Lampard. Yeah. Walks away.
All right.
NYCFC is on the clock, Duane. Your second favorite MLS club.
The great villain. Everyone hates them. They should walk up and go, "We have nothing to take from this ugly college draft. We are Manchester City." That'd be awesome. I would love it.
And you have
no one likes this. Yeah. You don't care.
You know what they should do? Get Mike Bettke to walk on stage and be like, "Yeah, I'm the new assistant coach. Well, yeah, what's up?" You get all the supporters from the Red Bulls to follow him now. Because if you didn't hear, Mike Bettke did a very interesting podcast, Seeing Red New York, on the podcast.
Oh, it's so cute. The Orlando fans think they have a rival. It's so cute.
Apparently, the New York City FC team needs defensive midfield, forward, left back. Oh, they forgot number 4, credibility.
We're live.
Frank Lampard arrival pushed back to July. They wrote it on the screen. Woo!
Yeah, it's on the screen there.
That's hilarious.
NYCFC's on the board.
They're on the clock.
Yeah, Carlo. Yeah.
Claudio right now, you get Jason Christ there.
Oh, they're on the phone. They're on the phone. They're on the phone. Breaking news, they're on the phone. It's a yellow phone.
Yellow phone.
It is a bright yellow phone.
Holy phone, Batman.
Orlando, I would like to propose that all MLS fans that aren't fans of Orlando City, because they like to do this history is created crap, that they call them franchise SC next year, because they actually bought that team from another city and brought them forward, and it's no more organic than any other club in MLS, and that's just my own bitterness right there. But
I read one question here on Twitter from Mathieu Legare at Saturnin55. What are the odds of EMFC picking a player having a name ending in I or O, meaning in Italian?
Well, I don't know how many Italians were in the NCAA, but certainly they'll... Montreal's had a bad history in the Super Draft. I don't mean to be trolling here, but they have.
Only two players left for the last 3 years, Callum Ellis and Eric Miller. That's it, folks. 5-minute timeout.
New York's called a timeout. There is really a trade in the works, folks. It is all excitement here.
Who could it be? Who could it be?
Throw it to me.
Who could the team be?
I've been told I have to hang this by someone.
Oh, no, not a Liverpool one. Hello.
All right. I'll cover Yaya up.
Really? Liverpool? No. Disappointed. Timeout by New York right now. If you're listening, folks, New York as New York City FC, the blue citizens of Gotham, you can call them. Well, they're on the clock. They decide to take a timeout, working on something possible. I don't know what it's going to be, but it might be good for Montreal. I don't know. Montreal third. Right now, I predict Nick Bessler as a midfielder pick for Montreal in third position, but that could be different. I don't know. 2 minutes left on the timeout by New York.
I wonder, okay, what do you figure they're going? I bet you they're going for allocation here. That will be New York's play, because I think that they want to take more international players rather than go to the draft.
Montreal's first with the allocation, Duane.
Well, not allocation order. They could trade that too, but in terms of the allocation order is random anyway, as we all know, and maybe we'll talk about Josie in a bit.
Oh, Josie.
Yeah, which is official now, by the way. It's official for those that haven't heard that Josie Altidore is the latest TFC Great White Hope. He's not white, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, we're live, folks, here on Google Plus, YouTube. Thanks for listening to the Two Solitudes Super Draft Super Show Live, showing pictures right now of what the NYCFC Stadium, well, the Yankee Stadium is going to look like next year.
Do people realize that David Villa is probably better than Frank Lampard? Do people realize that?
No, but he's so low-key. He's not like a Lampard. He doesn't have the paparazzis following him everywhere. He's low-key, especially the fact that he's playing, where, like in Australia right now?
Yeah, he's back from Melbourne. I was hungry. Okay. Sorry, someone's in my house. The stranger has broken into my house, so I'm...
2 minutes, 42 seconds, to be fair, right now on New York with their timeout. They're working on a deal, working really hard.
What shocked me...
Papers.
Do we have any idea who it is? Like, I'm trying to read the Twitterverse right now to find out who this is.
I couldn't tell you.
Live draft coverage.
Any questions again at Two Solitudes Pod or at Kev Laramée or at 24th Minute?
I'll ask our research assistant over here. Could you please find out who New York is negotiating with right now as we do this live show? That's live. The research assistant. We'd like to thank.
They say their line is busy in Manchester. We're telling you right now. Wait, yes.
They have to call the Sheik.
Yeah, they're actually talking to Manchester right now before they can do anything. Yes, we're telling you right now, exact same thing. A lot of budget right now on the Two Solitudes Pod Live.
Conversation will continue the dialogue. All right.
A conversation will continue the dialogue. Nice. Who's that guy? Who are the three guys? Have you ever seen them before, Duane? Did you ever see those three guys before?
We're not really here.
Never seen those guys. Wow, can't wait now. It brings a lot of suspense. Montreal, we're repeating, Montreal, first Canadian team to get a pick in third
for God's
position.
sakes, people do realize that. Never mind. I'm not sure if you can hear me, Kevin, if anyone can hear me.
Yep, I can hear you. We can hear you. You're coming in and out, though. So I guess your Twitter's blowing up or something.
Oh.
There you go.
Am I here?
Yeah, you're there.
Okay, yeah, no, I wasn't hearing anything for the last couple minutes, and my draft feed is now not live. Let me just catch up with that.
Just click the live button.
I love someone on Twitter is complaining because I see this in my Twitter feed. My God, New York City CFC had months to prepare for the draft and had to take a time with their first pick. That is just petty kind of snark that has no relevance in the reality. It has not to do with not being prepared. There's time all the time.
It might be somebody else.
Yeah.
That actually came to New York with a proposition that they had to look at, too. It might not be New York's fault that they had to take a timeout. It might have been the other third party or second party actually telling New York, yeah, we got a deal for you if you want it now. We'll see it. Couple seconds left. The crowd are actually counting down. Garber back at the podium. They select
Me no here.
Kyrie Shelton from Oregon State, picked by New York City FC in second position. Kyrie Shelton. Kyrie Shelton was in 4 in all the. It's a forward. He was ranked 4 in the top board of Top Drawer Soccer. 4 from Oregon State. A lot of injuries in his career, apparently. But surprised that New York took a timeout to pick a guy that was probably not even wanted that badly. I'm surprised about that. Another forward. So surprised they picked that guy. Was not expecting Kyrie Shelton to go second. I had 4th in my mock draft for whatever those mock drafts are worth.
I think that they traded for San Jose, right?
Who, Montreal traded? Talk about a trade, Duane?
I can't hear you, Kevin.
Okay.
You're coming back in a bit now, but
can you hear me, Duane? So I've got Kyrie Shelton right now talking on the podium with his brand new New York City FC scarf. Can you hear you, Duane? Are you there? Yeah, the guy can't speak. He's so emotional right now. He's so happy to be picked by New York. He has a bow tie, so I guess the hipsters are not just in Orlando. Guess the hipsters are going to New York too. Say hello to Mauro Biello. Thank Adidas. Oh yeah, Generation Adidas guy. In front of Betzler, I'm surprised. Correlation? Very surprising. Kyrie Shelton, second pick, first by New York City FC. In the history of New York, Kyrie Shelton, 10 goals, 12 assists in 2014, senior at Oregon State. And Duane will be joining us in a couple of minutes. He dropped off. Technology, you know how it is. But I'm surprised now Montreal is going to be on the clock. Like, now, who's Montreal going to pick? I hope maybe a midfielder, even though we not necessarily need a midfielder. Nick Bessler is still available in third, maybe. That could be interesting. Another player that was ranked second in a lot of mock draft was Christian Roldan, midfielder for Washington. He can probably be a pick about Montreal, Generation Adidas player Christian Roldan. For me, is a pick that Montreal might take, or Nick Bessler. For me, those are probably the choice that Montreal would go with. Very interesting to see what Montreal is going to do. Will they trade it? Klopas talked about they were open of trading it. I don't know if they can. I don't know if they'll find a suitor. Montreal Impact are on the clock, people. First Canadian team to get a draft pick today. 25 seconds left. The Impact on the clock. Klopas is working. Bielo's there. Hello, Mara. Nobody's talking to anybody. Adam Braz and Richard Lejeune is sleeping on his right. Richard Lejeune is sleeping. Montreal. Here we go. Central Florida. Generation Adidas. Romaro Williams, forward from Central Florida. Generation Adidas player. Romario Williams is the first draft pick for the first round for the Montreal Impact in third position. Romario Williams, first pick for Montreal. It's very interesting to see Romario Williams, a choice about Montreal, UCF, University of Central Montreal. He played with he's right there with Cal Marion. He finished about second behind Cal Marion in the senior season, the seniors last season in the NCAA. Another bow tie, so I guess another hipster. What's with the bow tie? Can somebody explain to me on Twitter right now at Kev Laramée or at Two Solitudes Pod? What's with the bow tie? Never been a fan of the bow ties. Let me know if you like the bow ties. I don't know, but Romario Williams, all the MFC fans out there, how do you like the choice of Montreal? Romario Williams, another Generation Adidas player. Duane will be back in a couple minutes. As you can notice that he's not there. Had technical issues, and that was expected, so don't worry. He'll be on as soon as he can. Romario would like to thank his mom, his uncle that are him with here today, his close relatives, his friends that support him throughout the years. A new MFC player. Nice scarf, by the way. They showed you the way, all right? The way to Montreal, baby. At least they didn't thank God, which is pretty good. Surprised about that. I'm surprised that Montreal didn't go with Sheldon, now we're talking about, but Romario Williams is his striker. They need a more striker, and if you can believe 98.5 FM Sports the last couple of days, they've been talking about how Montreal is actually very comfortable of starting this season with Jack McInerney as a lone striker there. And bonjour, you do too, Romario Williams with a bonjour Montreal to end his speech as a third draft pick in the 2015 MLS Super Draft. Thanks for listening to us right now on Google Hangout, on YouTube, on CSN, Canadian Soccer News, on this Two Solitudes Soccer Podcast, Super Draft Live Super Show. And right now we are waiting on fourth position. The Quakes are on the clock right now. In my latest mock draft, I had Romario Williams because the Quakes need a lot actually of striking power because Wondolowski's not getting any younger. I wouldn't be surprised if they go with Kerry Shelton. Kerry Shelton was picked in the second round. Cal Lauer in the first round. Christian Roldan, a midfielder, is still available. Another Generation Adidas player. Connor David, another Generation Adidas player, is still available. Alex Bono as well. No, he's not the son of a YouTube famous singer, but Alex Bono is still available as well. It's a goalkeeper out of Syracuse, Generation Adidas player. So I have a feeling Romario will go with a Generation Adidas. The Quakes only have one draft pick in the first two rounds. So let's send it. 20 minutes left, 20 seconds left, on Don Garber already on the podium with the Quakes. Fourth pick. the Quakes, Michigan State, Fatai Alashe. Sorry about that, folks. Fatai Alashe has been chosen by the Quakes in 4th position. So the guy's not even in the top 15 of anybody's mock draft. He's not a forward. He's out of nowhere. What are the Quakes doing? Well, that's a good question, Vince. Is Anthony Jackson-Hamel going to stay with the team now that Montreal drafted another forward? I was going to have to wait a couple of months to say that, just because Montreal in the draft pick in the Super Draft don't have a really good history of keeping the draft picks long enough maybe to even see a first training camp. So we'll see about that. If that draft pick stays with Montreal, there's a chance that Jackson will play in FC Montreal and USL Pro. I would have to agree with you on that, Vince, 100%. Fatai Alashe, midfielder, picked by the Quakes in 4th position. A surprising pick. That player was not even in the top 15 of anybody's mock draft, or not a Generation Adidas. A very surprising pick by San Jose. Wondering if they know what they're doing. Do they? Do anybody know what they're doing? Do we really know what we're doing in life? That's another good question, folks. You can let us know at Two Solitudes Pod. Okay, the guy's talking too much. Cut his mic. Cut his mic. Cut his mic. Again, if you want to let us know on Twitter what you think about the draft so far. Surprising pick. Nothing really that goes. That Fatai Alashe pick with San Jose in 4th round is the most surprising pick so far. Now, we're going to Portland. Who will they pick? Good question. What's with those guys? They can't talk when there's a camera around them. So surprised. They're all so ungood with camera. Just like me. They really remind me of myself. Right now, we have Portland on the clock. Pick number 5 with 1 minute and 15 seconds left in the 2015 AT&T Super Draft for Major League Soccer. Live here on the Two Solitudes Super Show. Who's going to be the pick that Portland goes with? Let's go with the sure pick, Connor Donovan. I have a feeling Connor Donovan's going to get picked. Who knows? Yeah, forward. Forward usually I get picked in top 5-10 of the first round. That would really make a lot of sense if Connor Donovan. And being Donovan with the new MVP award, being the Donovan. Yeah, Connor Donovan's going to get picked by Portland. Seems fitting. We're still waiting. Portland on the docket. Kyle Lowry, I repeat, first Canadian overall selected by Orlando City in number 1, followed by Kerry Shelton, followed by number 3, a forward for Montreal as well. His name is escaping me right now. So many names right now. And in 4th position, a surprising pick by the Quakes, Fatai Alashe, who was not even in the top 10 of the mock draft or on the big board of Top Drawer Soccer, which is your best resource if you want to know about the players in the Super Draft. 5th pick, Portland is picking from Notre Dame, midfielder Nick Beasler. In 5th, a non-Generation Adidas midfielder being picked by Nick Beasler, brother of Matt Beasler, U.S. men's national team central defender, and for Kansas City. He was a great defender in Major League Soccer. His brother, younger brother, Nick, played for Notre Dame, has just got picked in 5th position for Notre Dame. Good pick. Very good pick. Duane will be joining us very shortly. In about 2 minutes, he will be back on the line. Technical issues that it happens when we're live, people. It does happen when we are live. And he's coming in a second. Nick Beasler, brother of Matt, in 5th position from Notre Dame, a midfielder. Another guy is nervous on the microphone. They're all nervous on their microphone, Duane. They just can't seem to talk really much on a camera. Nick Beasler, younger brother of Matt, former player for the U.S. men's national team, Duane. Oh, well. Next up, Toronto on the clock with pick number 6. Duane, what do you expect for pick number 6 for Toronto? Nothing. That's what I thought too, but who knows, right, Duane?
Hello?
Yes, Duane, you are back here live on the Two Solitudes Super Draft Super Show. Toronto's on the clock. Not really. You picked Fatai Alashe, 4th. The Quakes, a guy that was not even in the top 15 of anybody's mock draft, out of nowhere. The Quakes probably don't know what they're doing. Portland with a non-generation Adidas player in 5th position. Nick Beasler, brother of Matt, from the U.S. men's national team in Kansas City. A very surprising pick out of Notre Dame because he's a non-generation Adidas player and not a forward. You don't see that a lot in the top 10.
I think the thing with the GAs is that the teams have to make a commitment to them. It's a little bit more than they think otherwise, so that often can make people reluctant. I don't actually have the draft coverage up just yet, so I'm going to try and do that while we're talking here. You said TFC is on the clock.
Yes.
What are you seeing there, Kevin? Is there any action at the table, or is Bezbachenko just...
We're still seeing the highlights of Nick Beasler, a player that I would probably see Toronto picking right now, Duane. Connor Donovan from North Carolina State, a defenseman, Generation D's player, 6'2", 176 pounds. He was slotted 5th in everybody's mock draft for a lot of them. He's in the U20 men's national team as defender. I think he has a chance to go to Toronto to continue the U.S. trend with Toronto FC.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's certainly what Bezbachenko and Vanny know, and that's what I've said many times before, is they're going to go that angle.
No action whatsoever. They're just talking. Nobody's on the phone.
We expect a goalkeeper? What
Alex
the hell did we
Bono?
select a goalkeeper for?
Well, Alex Bono, he's a good choice, and...
No, it's not. We don't need a goalie.
Yeah, they did choose from Syracuse. Alex Bono, goalkeeper. Generation Adidas goalkeeper, 6'3", 195 pounds, and no relation to a famous singer. I had to at least say it once, Duane.
Well, then I don't know what that means for Quinlan Roberts, is what the first thing that jumps into my mind. And now they have 4 keepers.
Toronto
I guess Quinlan's going to play.
That's what it says, Toronto FC.
He always goes. U.S.? Yeah. What's it mean for...
Oh, sorry.
Well, I think that Kanaka's got to be gone. I mean, that's at least that there. Odd pick. It's an odd pick unless they want to flip it for someone.
It's like Montreal picked a forward, too. Montreal picked a forward, and what's going to happen now? They're going to have McInerney and that forward. What's going to happen to Anthony Jackson-Hamel? The FC Montreal? It's so surprising.
Yeah. That's the thing about this draft, is that you can't really predict it. That's why I find mock drafts so bloody absurd in any sport, particularly in MLS. No one has a damn clue. I don't. This keeper could be brilliant. I don't know. Maybe it's the greatest pick of all time. I don't know, but it's an odd pick position-wise. That's what I'll say.
On Twitter, any Toronto FC fan or any Montreal fan out there, at Two Solitudes Pod, what do you think about your respective team's first pick or the opposite team? Are you happy with their choices? Are you, Duane, with that keeper?
Well, I don't get it. We're going to have to see if there's more play. I have never been as big a fan of Joe Bendik as others. I think a lot of people in this city remember big saves and don't remember other mistakes. That's my take on Joe Bendik, but I think he's an average keeper. Yeah, that is distribution is certainly a question that for Ram Bendik. So maybe this is, but a young keeper to come in. I mean, we saw a high pick with the last year with a keeper. They don't necessarily play right away.
By the way, Chicago's on the clock. 2 minutes left for Chicago.
Chicago will do something weird. Don't trust me on this one. TFC's coming up soon. They have the 3 and the 11. Now, are they going to package these things? This is the question. Like, there's it all. And what I said today too, and I think this is relevant, is that with the Jay Chapman signing, which was never a for sure thing, and maybe we'll talk a bit about that in a minute. And with having Jordan Hamilton in the system already, they are playing with house money a little bit. They can take a few more risks. For those that don't know the Jay Chapman story, he was a homegrown, then he wasn't, then he was again, and then briefly he wasn't, and then he finally was for sure. And what it was teams were protesting that they believed that he played long enough with TFC Academy in his initial stint that he would have qualified that way. But you do need to continue your association with the academies to maintain homegrown status.
Okay.
When you're in college. So that means you have to train with them in their summer. Now, Chapman played with Kitchener-Waterloo FC, I think is what it's called, the PDL, not with TFC Academy. So that's why people were claiming that he wasn't a homegrown.
I see.
Sorry. He's a gentleman. Okay.
1 minute left for Chicago in 7th position in the Super Draft first round. I have no clue where they're going to pick. Chicago need a lot of things, just like Montreal. They were bottom dwellers in the East. They're not going to rebuild with the Super Draft, but one piece of the puzzle can be found. That needle in the haystack can be there. And who knows, there's a lot of Generation Adidas with a decent name still on the docket. If you're talking about a Christian Roldan from Washington, for me, a midfielder could be a good possibility.
All right. Fair enough. To finish quickly the Chapman story, what TFC did is that they claimed that he was scheduled to train with them this summer and an injury prevented him from doing so. And ultimately MLS decided that that was a good enough reason to make him a homegrown player, and that's why he is with Toronto FC now. But it is a big, important addition that allows them to be more aggressive. Matt Polster. Kevin, break him down. What's his game like, Kevin?
Matt Polster?
Yeah. Tell me about what your perceptions of his game.
Got some very nice boots, 2 very well positioned shin protectors. Usually wears shorts. He likes to kick the ball with the right foot.
He's a right footer.
He's a 6-foot defender, 178 pounds.
It's a nice
21
suit.
years old.
Yeah, it's a nice suit. It's a nice suit. No
like
tie,
I was saying
though.
while you were gone, the guys with their bow ties. I don't get all the bow ties nowadays. And there was already 4 bow ties in 8 pick, and I don't get it. And on Twitter, let me know if you understand why the bow ties. Vince on Twitter, he says, I hope Roberts is the number 1 for Toronto too. Terrible for his development if Bono was installed as the number 1 for USL Pro team.
Well, that was my first thought, was the Roberts. I don't know what. Yeah.
Exactly. Matt Polster is very emotional. Again, they really get emotional, those young players on the podium.
Reading a few things on here, people are suggesting that in basically in Bez we trust, because of his draft picks last year, were off the mark, and that is fair. That Hagelin was a pick that wasn't expected at all at the position he was, and he turned out to be quite good. I don't get the keeper pick. I don't get it at all, but we'll see.
Toronto's like stars. They like big names. Who's bigger than Bono? That's why they picked Toronto.
Picked Bono. Maybe that's what they thought. Yeah. Maybe unless they thought they were selecting Bono to do the halftime show. It's a beautiful day.
No, Duane, it's not a bloody big deal. It's just a bloody Sunday.
Sunday, bloody Sunday. How long must we sing this song?
Tomorrow morning, the sports section of Toronto Sun are going to read Sunday, Bloody Sunday. Toronto FC picks Bono.
Okay. Come to Two Solitudes Podcast for MLS Super Draft evaluation. Stay for the puns.
And they wanted you to sing earlier, so there you go.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right.
Who's
on the draft board here?
Houston Dynamo are on the clock.
This should be fun because they have a Euro coach. What do you think of the Coyle hire? We talked about it on the podcast, but it's
I like Matt Jordan. Matt Jordan is probably doing the best job in the offseason for Houston. And Matt Jordan is the one going to make the pick, I think. And Matt Jordan is doing a great job right now. As I'm saying, waving my orange juice around.
Well, you're orange for the Dynamo.
Orange Nation. Have you ever heard the Dynamo song?
No.
The cheesiest club song ever. It's like one good dude named Pete Martin just recorded this god-awful song about the Houston Dynamo.
I don't know. Have you heard the Whitecaps song before?
It's twice as worse than the Whitecaps. It's cheesier than the Whitecaps song. Well, the big move they made in the offseason, as we see Matt Jordan, probably the biggest mistake in Impact history is letting him leave. We'll see about that. But they found a way to get Cubo Torres, and for me, that's probably the best move in the offseason for any team.
Just as an update here, friend of the podcast, Steven Sandor, saying that he is dreading all of the Bono puns to come in headlines recently.
You're too late, Steven. You're already too late. We did them live here on the Super Show.
Sorry.
Wow. Houston,
we just drafted a blind keeper. Okay. My research assistant is telling me we drafted a blind keeper, which would be very amusing on some level. See, TFC, either I want them to be very successful or just continue to be a comedy club because it works that way.
With the 8th pick of the first round, Houston picks.
He could play high.
Zach Steinberger. He's not able to be with us today.
Well, yeah.
He's out of nowhere. He's nowhere to be seen in the lists.
Zach Steinberger has just been drafted. Yes, he's.
Let me actually look for Zach. Where is he?
It terrifies me how many. Do you want to know something terrifying about the MLS thing? One of the reasons why the draft is so poor is that half of these guys make their decisions at the combine, which is absurd. These guys haven't played competitively in months at times, and then we talk about their combine play like it matters. At any rate,
Zach Steinberger, midfielder for Butler in the Big East. He was not in the top 100 ranking of Top Draft Soccer. He was not even in the top 20 ranking of the conference. Very surprising pick by Houston.
I think one of the things that you got, and I've talked about this before, is that things like Top Drawer and that, they rank by technical skill a lot and sort of kind of rank them in a lot of different levels that are a little more informed in a lot of ways. But MLS guys, when they get right down to drafting, often just pick athletes because they think they can mold them. And they realize that the talent at the college level that's draftable is kind of borderline anyway. So you might as well pick a strong guy that you could maybe do something with. That's kind of their thinking.
Isn't that counter-thinking to where the league's going, though? If you pick an athlete over technical...
It's counter-thinking to where the league says it's going.
Okay.
What the league says it's doing and what it actually is doing is often very different. It's still an athletic league. That's why Josie Altidore really demanded so much money over here, is because he's a freak of nature athletically. He's a very big, strong guy, and that is what gives him a chance in a league that's less technical. So,
Toronto's on the clock. Toronto's on the clock. Toronto with the 9th draft pick on the clock.
Yeah. Sorry, my research assistant is telling me something. He made the what?
He made the 17 magazine.
Oh.
The 17 magazine hottest guy in college sports.
Apparently, TFC drafted the 17 magazine hottest guy in a college sports list.
And you're wondering why they picked him? That's why.
So
it's not the star.
MLS, he's going for the teenage girl market next year.
Tiger beats Alex Bono on the cover.
TFC's on the clock, folks. Minute 18 left here. Let's talk when it's right now. It's 1:13 right there. That's a little U sector reference for us.
Here.
Research assistant's going to roll our eyes at me in a minute.
On two separate mock drafts, they're saying from University of Manitoba, British Columbia, Manitoba, whatever, UMBC, Umar Ballo, defender. Does Toronto really need a defender? Yeah.
Yes, they need a defender.
And they got the 11th draft pick.
I got to think that they're moving Bendik. I'm sorry, I don't think Bendik's going to be the number one. I think that they drafted this guy to be their number one. That's my thinking. They fired the goalie coach for no real reason, and I know that he loved Bendik and was one of his biggest players, and that's fine, and a lot of people do love him.
I already love
makes
the
me
new
think
Houston
that they
coach,
don't.
by the way. Do you see him on the screen, Owen Cole?
Well, yeah, he's really confused by this drafting thing.
I love his accent.
Yeah,
Today.
I think that
Just call the timeout.
TFC called a timeout, folks.
Timeout TFC. All right, that sounds like a pick. A
That
trade.
could be entertaining. But yeah, it offers. Often the timeouts are just about them needing longer to consider something, right? So
Who's that guy? Really? I can't find him. Where's Wikipedia? Give me a timeout.
any questions on the Twitterverse about anything? You don't have to talk about the draft if you want. At 24th Minute, at Kev Laramée, and at Two Solitudes Podcast. Is it podcast or pod? I always forget, Kevin.
Two Solitudes Pod. At Two Solitudes Pod for the Twitter.
All right, let us know. And we'll answer your questions. Anything you want, folks. Anything you want. Well, we're waiting for TFC to do something. It's always exciting.
What could he be working for? A trade?
Aaron Stoller has decided that we're going for Connor McDavid with this pick. That would be a daring selection. MLSE. That would actually MLSE claims Connor McDavid and goes, "What? He's under contract with us. What are you gonna do?"
Yeah, but he doesn't play soccer. So what? Eventually,
So?
we'll find a loophole to transfer him over to Toronto FC.
It'd be like at Manchester City Football Group saying that Frank Lampard wasn't signed. I think the Leafs have a play here.
It's like those old Tavares rumors when he was 16 years old, saying, "Yeah, the Leafs are gonna sign him now and put him with the Marlies until he can play with the NHL." Hey, very obscure Canadian reference right there.
I am trying to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, Houston did make a lot of move in the offseason, but right now Eric Torres will be back in July. I think he's probably the best move in the offseason so far. For that,
Now, here, think about this timeout here. Torres is, well, I will see whether he comes back.
He'll pull a Lampard.
Any random speculation. Maybe Bono is part of this conversation right now.
Like, hey guys,
And TFC is
we
going
just
after.
drafted a star. Come and get Bono. Come get Bono.
Well, it could be that a player lower in the draft wanted Bono, and that TFC has selected him at that position, and now are talking to them about an established MLS player. That is one thing that they have talked about, trying to go after established players through trade. That might be something at play. It would certainly be a very interesting thing at play. Maybe I'm being more hopeful than rational, but it's something to think of as we wait for this timeout now 3 minutes away to end.
Any questions or maybe any predictions of what Toronto's going to do? At Two Solitudes Pod right now, and you'll be live on the show. By the way, we're letting us know that the sound is perfect and everything's fine, so thanks for letting us know, guys. It means a lot. And apparently it's been better on your side too, right?
Yeah, I had to reboot my whole computer, folks. I don't know what was going on there, and it took a long time to do, so I had to update some things. So we're back, and my stream is running much better now. You'll be happy to know.
It's 2 minutes, 45 seconds left in the Toronto FC timeout.
Bobby, everyone knows Bobby. Bobby's suggesting that we're trading out the door to the New York Red Bulls right now. That would certainly be funny.
That would be. You still got another
amazing.
pick after that one, too. Toronto's got 2 more in the last 3 picks.
Lewicki's going to come
9th
out
and 11.
and sign Jermaine Defoe or something. I don't know. We're going to pick another
Defoe
cube.
comes out.
Yeah,
Another
Landon
cube.
Donovan's out of retirement.
Landon Donovan declares for Canada and will come back in 5 years to play for Canada. That's what they're working on. And he'll be signed for Toronto in the meantime. Again,
right.
thanks for listening to this live super show, the MLS Super Draft. On
Someone find
YouTube.
Best Pacheco a razor, by the way. Apparently, center back's our biggest need. Their left midfield's fine.
A minute 39 seconds left.
Giovinco. All right, a lot of speculation here. No one has a clue. Let's be honest. It's funny that they're not. I wonder whether this is because MLS is so centrally owned, why they're not looking around to see who they're talking to. Because if this is the NHL draft, they'd be cameras everywhere, and they'd be trying to figure out who the trade talk is with, right?
Yep.
All they're showing is the TFC table, which gives us no indication whatsoever of what's going on. Oh, they picked someone. Claymon Cinnamon. It's a defender. They picked a defender. I'm not going to pretend to evaluate his play until I see him, which I never have. So there you go, folks. Oh, they picked a Frenchman.
North Carolina State. He's Pirate.
Yeah, he's from France. I'm holding the fort down right now here. TFC, obviously, whatever trade talk was going on didn't happen, which is often the case with the timeouts. They're trying to get something. They're trying to play with a lot of things, and it just doesn't follow through. And here we are. It's an international spot. That's interesting. He wasn't, listed, and they're saying in the broadcast right now, wasn't necessarily seen as a prospect. They've gone off the board again. As I said, they went with that with Hagelin last year. I assumed that they would pick defenders.
What did I miss when
defenders.
I
we
missed
picked
the trade?
we picked no, they didn't trade him. They picked a guy from North Carolina State, Simeon. He's a Frenchman.
Oh, okay.
Like a legit. He's a Frenchman. I've been told to say that.
One more time.
My research assistant wants me to say Frenchman continually for some reason.
Pourquoi? Why?
Because I sound like a tosser. This is live from the studio here.
Well, I'm live too from the Off the Woodwork Studios here. As you can tell, it's my original hangout.
Yes, exactly.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious because after every draft pick, they're showing the projected lineup for the team with the MLS draft pick in there. What are the odds of those lineup ever existing?
Not slim. I mean, Hagelin played more than we thought last year, but yeah. I mean, TFC is going to make the change with it. It's not a team in flux. It's been never mind. I give
Another draft.
2 picks, 1 pick. Yeah, we picked him to get 11.
We have a question here from Fazinam, a listener from Montreal, fellow Voyager. Just tuned in. Can't believe the guys have been going for an hour. Yes, we have been going for an hour, and here for at least another hour for sure.
Yeah, we are here holding hostage to our research assistant and so forth.
And get held hostage by 3 guys who are talking on the actual stream that I don't know, no clue who they are.
Yeah. TFC picks another pick. This is the interesting thing. We all want like a regular player here, but I think that the talk that TFC is going to supplement its defensive backline with the Polish international player that I'm not going to try and pronounce right now.
That goes to Kansas City, number 10.
1 minute left.
For Kansas City.
The Kansas City Wizards are on the box.
The Aurélien less Sporting Kansas City. They lost all the charm they had for me. Aurélien is gone now. This is what Orlando. Everybody's new. Well, not everybody.
Toronto FC is on the clock.
Connor Hasley.
No, Kansas is on the clock.
No, they just picked.
Okay.
Toronto's on now.
Already?
Hasley. Yeah, Connor Hasley. You might be a bit behind in your feed.
Okay.
All right, well, TFC's 11th pick is coming up now.
Simeon, 4 goals in 17 games this past season.
Simeon had 4 goals in 17 games last season. Credit to my research assistant for that little trivia there. So he's obviously a defender that likes to get up into the play.
It's not part of the research assistant. I'm just listening to the fucking draft.
Apparently that was on the draft, and I didn't hear it because I have 6 things in my my ear. Could you look up to see what his height and weight is?
No.
Okay.
Who?
I need better help. I'm talking to my research assistant.
Which player you want to know?
Simeon, I've more or less taken the piss at her, but if you want to tell me, I'd be happy to know.
Yeah, but what's the name? Just tell me the
TFC's
name.
pick, Simeon.
Okay, Simeon. Okay, I'll try to find it.
This guy looks terrified.
Connor Hallisey was picked by Kansas City in number 10, and now the 11th draft pick is coming up. Really? He takes a selfie with Gerber on stage? That guy needs to be...
You're behind, Kevin.
Oh, it says live on my
you're
thing.
behind. You're behind by 2. Yeah, you're behind by 2 minutes. I'm looking to the draft picks talking right now.
For some reason, it says I'm live. Let me reboot my feed. See if I can be live.
This is from Sean Cunningham. That sound that you're hearing is every TFC supporter typing in the name Clement Simeon into YouTube search bar, hashtag TFC.
That's
Thank
hilarious.
you, Sean, for that.
We were not doing this at all.
Yes. Another comment here. I think even this is from Simon. Simon says, I think even Don Garber is starting to second guess this whole super draft thing. But it's super, Simon. It's a super draft.
They're still talking about Kansas City on my feed. What's going on? Well, my feed says it's live, Duane, but I guess I'm not as live as you are.
Did he succeed?
I don't know. It was in the draft.
Oh, apparently the draft pick from Kansas City just took a selfie with Don Garber.
Yeah, that's
So
what I was saying. My feed
okay.
is live.
It says right now I have the super draft needs on the board here.
Toronto's on the clock now. Yeah, I knew it was live. So now Toronto's on the clock again. Number 11. Third pick of Toronto in their first round.
Yeah.
Did they trade it?
No, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my feed now as well. But at any rate, here's from Ives, talk about Ives. Simeon is not the North Carolina State defender folks would have pegged as a first-round pick. GA signing a U.S. under-20 Connor Donovan was. So this was outside of the box by most people. Again, I take a grain of salt with anyone who pretends to be a college soccer insider because it's impossible to really follow it unless you're one of the guys that gets paid to do so, and they are very limited people. So I trust their voices, but I'm not necessarily going to worry about what MLS reporters think of college players because they probably only saw them for 2 days at a combine. Not that I like Ives. I'm not suggesting that he's not evaluated.
Garber ready to announce the 11th pick. Third for Toronto in the first round.
Someone needs to get Bezbachenko a razor, though.
Yeah, somebody needs to do Photoshop on me so I don't have 5 chins on this broadcast, too. Who's that guy talking to Bezbachenko now out of nowhere? He wants to
What are you
know
looking
about-
at?
What you looking at? You want
They're
Bono? You want Bono?
They're grinding out what they're doing right now at the TFC table. If you don't know, is that they're working out their
Doing this.
Did you drop your
working
phone
out
again?
their grit formula.
Another Syracuse kid. Skylar Thomas, defender.
Skylar Thomas.
Played with
Syracuse.
Alex Bono.
Okay.
Defender Skylar Thomas.
So 2 defenders. That's what I did say, and a goalkeeper. Still curious about the goalkeeper pick.
Skylar.
There's some fans there screaming for him. He's Canadian. They picked a Canuck. All right.
He is Canadian, yes. From Syracuse again. And he used to play with Bono. Guess what, Duane? That Bono pick, I mean, that sounds stupid now. Kids that are used to play together. 6'4", 205 pounds, 21 years old. Skylar Thomas from Pickering, Ontario, Canada, Duane.
Yep. TFC picks a Canadian.
6'3", 180 from Pickering, Ontario.
He's from Pickering. He's Toronto boy.
Yeah, he's now 6'4" and 205 pounds right now at the last combine a couple weeks ago.
He's a Durham boy. 6'4". I like that. Look, yeah, I think picking big athletic for defenders makes a lot of sense, particularly when you have the USL Pro team out there.
Yeah.
I had suggested, I would have preferred they pick 3 defenders. I don't know what's going on with the keeper pick, but I'm happy with picking 2 defenders in this. It's what they needed to do. There's not a lot of attacking options out there that are going to fill needs. You're going to need international transfers for that. So, and I'm hearing as well that he played on the U18s.
Good.
Or he just referenced Ajax. He should have called it Ajax. Confuse people. Ajax is a suburb outside of Toronto that's spelled like Ajax. Anyway.
Obscure Netherlands reference for you all international soccer fans out there.
Oh, he's a Sigma guy. He just
He's a
referenced
Sigma
Bobby
guy.
and Costa. He's another Sigma guy.
Wow,
So-
that's 2 in the first round for Sigma. Here you
So
go.
one day TFC needs to start working more closely with Sigma so they stop having to draft Sigma guys. But at any rate,
He could have been an homegrown. That's another of those choices, right?
yeah, but Sigma develops players really well, and you got to respect their program. And I think it's good that there's, to be serious about this for a minute, I think it's good that there's competition within the GTA market. There's enough room for 2 different systems and 2 different philosophies. If Sigma really does focus on getting these kids into the NCAA, getting these kids in top programs in the NCAA, let's get one to Syracuse. It's a big school athletic school. Lauren went to UConn. That's a huge athletic school. So. And he did. I'm hearing that he's academically inclined. He was an economics major. That's a big deal.
Wow. And he's good with economics. That's even better for Toronto, Duane.
Maybe he can work on the. He could be a capologist if it doesn't work out on the pitch.
They'll intern Bezbachenko on top of stopping people from scoring on the pitch.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's it. And also, like look, as everyone knows that listens to me, I am very adamant that the Canadian teams have a moral obligation to draft and develop Canadians. However, even on a pragmatic MLS level, especially with USL Pro and the 50% quota that's going to be there, they need Canadians. They need talented Canadians in there. And if you're not developing and you're not putting them in there, you're going to be screwed at the USL Pro level if you want to win there, which doesn't necessarily matter. And you're ultimately hurting yourself because you're going to have to go out and get international spots. So taking a Canadian here allowed them to pick an international elsewhere.
Absolutely. All right. If you like the show right now, tell your friends on Twitter, come listen to this option of, instead of listening to 3 guys you don't know talking about the draft, well, how about listening to 2 guys that you do know talking about the draft right here? So on Twitter, tweet the link if you run.
5'8". This guy is an Akron guy. Akron, of course, for those that don't know, it's a small little school that really focused on men's soccer and has developed a really it's a very technical. They're exciting to watch. I don't like a lot of college soccer, but I do enjoy watching Akron play. The few times I've watched them.
Caleb Porter is the former coach of Akron. Players like Zarek Valentin, Darlington Nagby are all from Akron as well.
So this guy is going to be a technical player. So that'll fit in a bit. Casey's system where they like to get up there and do the pry press and rely on some movement off the ball. So I don't know. Do we want to listen to the speeches? They're all just thanking their coaches.
Hey, not one said thank God yet, which I'm really surprised about.
No one's thanking God?
No, exactly. I didn't hear it once yet.
I honestly would forget God existed.
Well, Kaká's going to take up all the God quota next year into Orlando, so that's not. Orlando's going to have Jesus on their side. How many people have I offended now?
A lot.
Okay. Live,
All right.
Mike and Duane.
All right, so who's up next here in this Super Draft Super Show? We have in 13th position. No, right now it's Andy Craven. No. Kansas City, I mean.
Poor Lou.
So
TFC's not picking.
Whitecaps with a 13th pick in the first round. The Whitecaps are on the clock. Whitecaps are on the clock.
Vancouver Whitecaps are on the clock, folks.
Who'd they go for? Need a striker? What do they need? A lot of
Are
things.
there any South Americans available? Not.
The guy's like, this is a team like so many teams in MLS that needs some help in the back. Duh.
Well, yeah, they just lost to some veteran presence back there. So
Yeah.
there we go. What's this, sir?
And right now, apparently, the negotiation with center back Andy O'Brien and Johnny Leveron to come back to Vancouver. Who will they draft? Any Vancouver fan listening right now, let us know right after they announce a draft pick. What do you think of your first-round draft pick in 13th in the first round for Vancouver Whitecaps?
I'm just flipping through here to see if there's one of the reporters in MLS is talking about news that he's about to break. So I'm just trying to follow that while we're watching this, folks. If I look distracted,
hey, we just looked like a TSN on Hockey Trade. Okay.
Yeah.
Phillies will win the Gold Cup.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. The Gold Cup. Jonathan Tannenwald is reporting that, confirming that the Gold Cup final will be held in Philadelphia. So that's interesting. That's close for Canadians when we, if we make the final. I can't even finish it. Maybe it's possible. You're saying there's a chance. I'm saying there's a chance.
A couple of players that were expected to be drafted in the top 10, Otis Earl and Roldan, Christian Roldan. He was. Some people seen him second. They're still there.
Darren Maddox. Is Darren Maddox going to play next? I think
Vancouver timeout. Vancouver taking a timeout. Oh,
Vancouver is picking a timeout. They're going to trade for an international spot, folks.
Maddox is gone now. That would be a good thing to do.
You looked at the photo of all the MLS coaches that they picked for the draft, and it was like,
They say everything's there for Vancouver. The support, everything but the success. Mean American commentators are poking fun of Vancouver. That's not fun to do. Here we see Carl Robinson in big discussion right now at the Vancouver table. Is Duane still with me?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm trying to read some stuff here.
There we go. Doing some research.
All right. Former TFC player Carl Robinson there.
Yeah. Doing a fine job, I might add, as a Vancouver coach. We'll see the sophomore slump next year if it happens.
God, Seattle's uniforms are ugly.
Yeah. And
They truly are.
Any team from Seattle, Duane, by the way.
Rave green.
Same for the NHL All-Star jersey. It's just as ugly. It looks like a Seattle jersey.
Those, they look like a
Seattle.
motocross. Yeah, a motocross jersey. The NHL All-Star jersey we were talking about before.
Brought to you by Monster.
They're horrific. Like, I don't even know what they were thinking. There hasn't been a major trade in this thing yet, which will upset people. There rarely is, because the value of these draft picks is next to nothing.
Things look eerily quiet at the.
They're just making an interesting point about the rounds that are happening next week. How they're going to, these teams that have the USL Pro teams are going to need to pick a lot of players in those drafts. So you should expect that you might see a little bit of movement in trades to get some more third and fourth round picks, so they can fill out those players. But again. Real.
Right now, we're waiting right now. We remember, if you missed it, Kyle Lauren, Canadian player from Sigma FC Academy in Toronto and University of Connecticut in the United States, was picked number 1 by Orlando City SC as the first pick in 2015.
And 2 Sigma Academy products drafted in the first 11 picks of the draft. That is an impressive accomplishment for that academy in Mississauga, Ontario.
And I think it validates Sigma's path to success for players, sending them to college first, but always having the option of going to the Super Draft eventually. I think Sigma, even though it's not written their name next to the players that they've been drafted, they should be responsible for those draft picks.
Don't be surprised if you one day see Sigma Academy attaching itself to a professional team at the top end. That's been the rumors that have been flying around here, and it'd be very interesting to see if they could be as successful at that level as they have been at the development level if they get to there. But certainly, you've got to give them a lot of credit for what they've done in the recent years. So they are a first-class organization. And as I said a minute ago, that rivalry with TFCA, which is TFCA produces a lot of great talent too. People want to make that's so TFC jokes, but their academy is very strong on the pitch. So Skylar Thomas, of course, is the player I'm talking about. That's the second pick in 11 picks. that's a story that's not just a Canadian story. I think that if you're looking at it from a development or North American development level, you've got to recognize what Sigma's doing.
No, true. And same type of environment is being built right now with the ACP, the Academy Canadian Perspective, which is a French version, well, a Montreal version of Sigma in a way. And it's been there for a couple of years, a little bit more. But they're making their way up to the Sigma FC as well. And I wouldn't be surprised that type of academy eventually get the same type of players from Quebec and Montreal region to where Kyle Aaron and Skylar Thomas are today.
It was interesting. I talked about this in the League One, the cup between the Quebec and the Ontario League One Cup that the TFC Academy won. That just sort of a fly in the wall at the end of that, listening to the Quebec delegation talking to some of the Ontario guys about development ideas. There was a lot of cooperation there that was talking about what they needed to do to move, and they recognized, I think, and I don't mean this in a dismissive way to the Quebec system, that they needed to catch up a little bit to the Ontario system. And that natural rivalry is going to make them drive them to do that. And the Ontario people, because I think that ultimately some of the old rivalries in Canadian soccer are starting to fade away, and then they're trying to work together to build these things. So I do think that you're going to see the Quebec system make a big jump up. Montreal's academy is already doing very well. It's a little bit behind Montreal or Vancouver and Toronto's, but I think they're rapidly catching up with the hyphenated names being the big breakthroughs.
The hyphenated brothers.
I think that what Montreal's academy needs to do next is really focus on becoming integrated at all levels, all the way down, and just becoming a bigger presence in Quebec. That would be what I would suggest.
Let's go to Garber.
Oh, they're talking to FC Dallas.
Tim Parker for Vancouver, defender.
No.
Columbus is on the clock. St. John's University defender, 6'2", 195 pounds, 21 years old, from Hicksville, New York, United States player.
A lot of defenders being picked, and that speaks to what I said a minute ago about a lot of big defenders are getting picked. That's essentially what is in. I think that they view that in MLS circles as their least risky pick that they can do.
Yeah, you're right.
Hope he likes field turf, but he's going to Vancouver.
Another redhead to Vancouver.
Reading some more Twitter comments here. Mike, Tobias Vaughn. Like most, I'm not educated enough to judge TFC's picks, but they do seem like very TFC picks, avoiding traditional MLS type first rounders. So Mike is suggesting that TFC is trying to do things differently again. Just flipping through here, seeing if anything jumps out at me. Remember, if you want to tweet at us, it's at Two Solitudes Pod or at 24th Minute or at Kevin Laramée.
Just telling you right now that apparently I said earlier, nobody thank God. That's not true. The first one, thank God, apparently, to be in Kaka's good graces.
Okay, Orlando is the Orlando draft pick. That'd be Carl Lauren. Thank God.
So Kyle Lauren, thank God, to be friends with Kaka.
I just like to let everyone know in Columbus that I'm never going to add the SC to your name.
Yeah, when you're
the Columbus Coral.
SC.
No.
Do they have an academy? Because you can't really say soccer club unless you have an academy, in my opinion.
The academies in the States are all over the map. I mean, that's the one thing the Canadian teams have doing, and I think it's through necessity. They need to develop players. Yeah. This is one of the things, and I'm not trolling when I say this. On a pure MLS success level, it is absolutely vital for the Canadian teams to develop local talents, not for the Canadian national team for their own benefit, because they're disadvantaged by the rules and they're disadvantaged by their geography, so they need to have local solutions. And that's the one area when I argue about people with this, and they start to focus on the partisanship of it, that I think that they need to consider. It's not only about the Canadian development.
Very true.
Okay. Was on the it's Columbus.
The Columbus Crew Soccer Club, 1996. They need a center back, outside back, forward, and remember, you know what they need to? Remember last year, they need a new giant screen because it caught on fire last year.
The screen caught fire. Was that last year or was it years ago?
I don't know, but what I thought it was hilarious, one guy ran into his car, opened the doors and started playing Billy Joel, "We Didn't Start the Fire," while the giant screen was in fire. It was hilarious.
Somebody was on fire. It's funny. The Whitecaps already have a story up on their draft pick, which makes me think that they were pretty much prepared that they were going to select him.
You know what that does tell you, though? That the pick you're going to pick, the pick you want to take, is not really popular, and you're so confident that you're going to pick him that you already know the story. They
might have had a couple. They were going to pick one of these three guys. That might have been what happened, too. But, yeah, they certainly to have it up this quickly means that they were pretty set on a couple players.
Yep, we have Dallas on the clock, FC Dallas in 15th position. No, actually, it's Columbus on the clock. After Columbus is Dallas.
Yes. Some furious writing there at the Columbus table.
5-minute timeout for Columbus.
The Crew have called the timeout.
Wondering for what? Will we see our first trade of the day, Duane? Still waiting for that first trade.
The Orlando City beat reporter is confirming that Orlando City tried to trade up, but that was what the timeout was about the last one, but they weren't able to come to a deal, so that's who was being talked there. I don't know. Trades are hard, and again, it comes down to the value, and we have to wrap our head around what the value of these picks are. Are they worth an established MLS player? They aren't, and most teams are probably looking for that or allocation, which is a valuable commodity as well. So really, a lot of trades that do happen in MLS Super Drafts happen before the case. They're giving it up as part of something, or they're trying to package a couple picks for a higher pick or something like that.
Still going to be interesting. Columbus with a timeout. There's two big names that are still out there.
What are those two big names?
Otis Earl and Connor Donovan. And Christian Zeldin as well.
Connor Donovan's
gone, right?
Connor Donovan seems to be the one that's slipped the furthest, right?
Yeah, he was. People know Christian Zeldin is. People saw him in second position by New York in their mock draft, and he's still there in 14th pick right now.
This is a good time to point out that we are well past the 10th pick, which when I've done my statistical evaluation over the years means that we're at about a 10% chance that these players are ever going to stick. However, there is USL Pro considerations now that have to go into it, so these players might get a longer look than they have in the past.
Yeah, they might get a better opportunity, like maybe 6 months instead of 2 for the pre-cap they had usually just this year.
Yeah, certainly that is a big difference. And I've made the argument before, it's the most significant development that they've made. This is the most progressive development they've made. Those that know me know that I'm far more interested in the development side of the game than the actual nuts and bolts of MLS's stupidity at the top sometimes. Mm-hmm. But they have made the right kind of moves at that level. It's whether the teams fully utilize them is a question, and certainly when we're talking about the 3 Canadian teams, which are most interesting to us, those quotas, we're going to see how well they're followed, whether the CSA has teeth in them. That's what's going to interest me. I'm not suggesting that any of these teams are going to bend the rules on the quotas, but I certainly will be monitoring it, and I will be seeing whether the CSA actually has teeth to enforce them, because what are they going to do? What if one of the 3 teams decides to not play 50% Canadians, to not play 6 of 11 starters consistently? What's the CSA going to do? Are they going to pull sanctioning? Would they? These are questions that I have watching that USL Pro team next year. And
that's
certainly
a good question. Will they pull sanctioning if they don't? Yeah.
That's their requirement, so that's really what they would think, that they would work with the team to fix the problem first. You're not just going to up and make them shut up operations in an overall day, but certainly it is going to be interesting to see how that's monitored. And for those that don't know, I talked to CSA about this when the quota rules came out, and they said that they would be flexible in terms of they will look at it as a organic, like as a whole, rather than a game by games. Yeah. So that they recognize that injuries happen, they recognize that youth call-ups happen, they recognize that there might be players that are going to college and things like that. That may mean that on one particular game they're only playing 4 Canadians, but they're playing 7 in another.
It'd be like an average, just like a salary cap. Usually, it's an average of the whole season, and not just each and every game individually.
Yes. So we'll have a look.
1 minute left for the timeout that Columbus took. The Crew.
It's kind of
Go ahead.
why they always have these 5-minute timeouts and nothing happens. They all just seem to be.
They just need to research who's left. Who's left? I don't know them. I got 5 minutes. Let's take timeout.
I'm hearing there might be a trade.
Oh, really?
The Colorado and Columbus might have just flipped their pick.
Where was
Stop the
Colorado?
process. They were scheduled to pick next or something. I
No,
think
they were
they had a player in
19th.
mind.
Colorado was 19th.
Okay. I mean, what? Yeah, if they're flipping picks from 17 to 19, it's probably like a little bit of allocation that's going to be traded here.
They're going for Christian Zeldin. If you move that now from 19th to 15th because you realize that Zeldin wasn't taken, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Zeldin. It would make sense. Zeldin or Otis Earl will be the two choice in my opinion.
Okay. Well, they are sort of focusing on the. What is with that beard?
Look at that mustache.
That is.
That's
something.
a glorious mustache right there.
That's like a villain, like an
First
old
trade.
Western twirl.
Let's hear Don Garber.
We have a trade.
First time we've gone the furthest without a trade ever. Crew trades. The Rapids.
Don looks tired.
A 2016 pick. Super Draft pick to the Rapids. For the Rapids' 14th pick, he made a mistake there, Garber. So he looks tired, and he is, because he made a mistake. The Rapids are having
Long
the
night at the bar last night. Long night at the bar. I haven't gone to a draft, but I've heard that it is quite the party. What?
There you go. Christian Zeldin. No? Axel Højbjerg. So they made a trade up to pick a guy that's as unknown as all the other guys. I don't get it.
Well, the thing is that they do talk to each other. The teams do talk to each other, right? So it could be that Columbus was interested in him too, or it could be that Columbus got a tip that they didn't have anyone interested. They knew Colorado was interested in this guy, and they basically told them, "We're going to pick him if you don't want him. What are you going to give us?" That kind of wheeling and dealing happens sometimes, and it's about the ability to understand what other teams are doing as much as it is about your ability to understand what you're doing. Again, we're talking about guys that are probably playing in the USL Pro next year, though. Let's reiterate that.
That guy's
if you want to tweet at us, those accounts again, at Kev Laramée, at 24th Minute, at Two Solitudes Pod. We're happy to take any questions because we don't have a clue about these college players, to be honest with you. But we're going to continue to talk anyway because that's what we do.
Where's Marquette? Is Marquette in Colorado?
Marquette is, I believe, in Illinois. Where's Marquette?
On Twitter, where's Marquette? Let us know. Because that guy seems familiar with Rapids. He was like, it's a dream come true to play for Colorado. So
I think it's a Midwest team.
maybe I think
Maybe
Marquette
he's
is
a big
close.
Rapids fan. I don't know. They exist, I think.
Or maybe he knows Perea. I don't know.
Marquette University is in Wisconsin, Milwaukee.
It's not bad at all.
He played for the Thunder Bay Chill. There's a Canadian connection for you. Oh, he's Swede. He's Swedish.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alex Højbjerg. Future considerations.
Which is probably conditional to him playing. And it's often
you
a
would
fourth
think,
round
right?
draft pick or something like that. Or in the case of Laba, it's funds.
Damn, that guy's tall.
He's a tall guy. Big player.
Tall and
Physicality
skinny
man.
fella.
A cat. Do you want the cat in the web stream?
No. Let's put Carragher. Let's see Carragher.
Give me a cat.
Our first guest here live on the Two Solitudes Super Show. We have a former retired defender for Liverpool FC.
What do you think? Okay, he's gonna bite me.
Damn, Jamie. Carragher changed a lot over the years.
Yes.
Let himself go after retirement. 6'7", 210 pounds, 23 years old.
6'7". Another big defender. What is the trend here?
You know what I think though? When you're 6'7", why the fuck are you playing basketball? Why do you play soccer? It'd be so much easier.
Yeah. 210 though. That's pretty big too. Well, 6'7", I guess. Just kidding. I don't know. I can't reiterate. I mean, it's a broken record, but that's what they're picking. You want to be drafted in the MLS? Have good genes and grow big.
And you can't teach that. All right, so again, we are here live on this Two Solitudes Super Draft Super Show. Next on the clock is FC Dallas with the number 15 pick in the first round. And Dallas seem concerned.
Who's the biggest defender left on the board?
The biggest defender left?
Yeah.
Let me
let me look at the board, actually. Where can we get it? Draft
Christian
tracker.
Roldan, midfielder. He's from Washington. He was second on the big board, Duane, and he's still out there at number 15.
All right, let's take a look here quickly through this. That's awesome. Kyle Laramée was the first pick, as we all know. So we have two forwards. The first three picks were all forwards. That speaks to the skill at the top of the draft. We talked about that at the beginning. Can you hear me, Kevin?
Otis Earl. Yes, I can hear you. I was just trying to listen to who. Okay. Otis Earl just got drafted, a defender from University of California, Riverside. Big defender, 6 foot, 170 pounds, 22 years old, from England. Has been picked by Dallas, I mean.
All right, so we have a defender. This is going in reverse order, the draft right now. Defender, 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 midfielder, defender, and then it gets midfielder, defender, and then it's the goalkeeper pick, and the top 4 players were all more skilled players. Speaks to what I said before in terms of how these guys approach this thing.
Thanks, Seth, for letting us know that the Marquette is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Tweets from Seth. Very avid listener of all we do, Duane. So thanks, Seth, for listening.
5 Rings listener as well. I believe, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quickly, as we take a quick break, I'm trying to get my feedback up. Reminder for those that are coming in late, all 17 of you or so, that if you're in the Toronto area and you're a Canadian national team fan, that we will be at Scallywags tomorrow. Scallywags at Yonge and St. Clair. If you don't know, it is a 4:30 start.
Absolutely. And right now on the clock is RSL with their first pick of the day in number 16. And thanks for everyone watching on YouTube as well right now. So we have YouTube and Google Plus, about 50 people listening to us right now. So it's a lot more than I thought.
Okay. I question your choices in life as I do my own, but I do appreciate your dedication to the world of soccer.
Nick Bessler, who's talking right now with the crew that's doing the show, who was picked by Portland in the 5th round. His brother Matt is a player for the U.S. men's national team. He was really the first surprise pick in the top 10 at least. In 5th position, he was a non-generation Adidas, so you don't see them every day in the top 5. Again, and the 2 Sigma boys picked in the first 11 pick are probably the story of the draft so far.
Yeah, the Sigma's Day, which will get underreported because people don't know what the hell Sigma is outside of the Canadian soccer community. But certainly
we're going to talk about it here, and we'll work on getting a guest from Sigma next week to talk about the draft day they had.
Yeah, I can put a request out for that. Johnny Grant, too. I want to talk about him. Johnny Grant, Canadian national team call-up, a League One player from Sigma Academy. The work continues. And Johnny Grant's turned an extended trial in Belgium right now as well, for those who don't know. So,
did you say a League One player got called up to the men's national team?
Yeah.
Wow.
A couple of them.
I did not think that we would see this a year into the existence of League One.
Good work there. Okay, my feed is going.
49 seconds left for RSL on the clock right now, Real Salt Lake. A team that's really old and need a lot of new players for next year. And we are still waiting for the new pick of RSL in about 50 seconds. And you know what? I guess we're going to take a timeout too when you let it go that long. All right, so it's going to be interesting. We remind you again, first Canadian in the history of Major League Soccer to be picked number 1 in the MLS Super Draft. Cal Lauren of Sigma FC Academy in Toronto, played for United States in University UConn, the Huskies of Connecticut. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. He's going to play in Orlando with Kaká. And another Canadian 11 pick by Toronto, Skylar Thomas, guy from Pickering from Ontario, Canada. So homegrown, not really homegrown, but a homeboy at least for Toronto. They picked him around 11. Again, Christian Roldan from Washington, midfielder. He's still there. Seattle are trying to make a trade right now, we're telling me. Going to be interesting to see number 16. Might be rumors of being trade between RSL and Seattle. Seattle would love to have Christian Roldan from University of Washington. He's from California, but he studied in Seattle, University of Washington, close to Seattle. So he's a boy from the Pacific Northwest, and the Sounders would really like him in the midfielder. So there's a trade to announce between the Sounders and Real Salt Lake. 16 from RSL to Seattle for the 27th pick of the first round. 27th pick overall to RSL. And they are picking Roldan. Christian Roldan, Generation Adidas player, midfielder. Roldan, apparently. Christian Roldan, midfielder, who was touted by me and a lot of other people on Twitter to be a great player. A surprise pick at number 16 for Seattle. They traded up to get him, for him to stay in the Pacific Northwest with Seattle. So good on you there. Seattle make a move to keep a homeboy close to home. Why not? Why not? That's a good idea. Duane will be joining us in a couple minutes here again. And Roldan is a Seattle Sounder. He's a really happy boy. He's nervous as hell, guys. He's going to tell us that much. You know what happens. We're waiting now on number 17. DC United will be the next team to make a pick. Well, Seattle did not make that big of a move. They just changed from the 27th overall pick to the 16th. We'll see. Again, folks, to remind you, the percentage of players that are picked outside of the top 10 that eventually get a career in Major League Soccer is close to about 1%. So, again, before you look at those players and be like, oh, he's going to help our team, remind yourself that. But USL Pro could be really good. And we'll be right back in a second here. 1 second, and we'll be right back, folks. And we are back here live. Sorry about that, viewers. I was trying to make sure Duane will be back with us in a second. Everything will be fine. He's on his way back. But again, 1 minute 15 left for the next team on the clock, which is DC United. Then you get New York and Columbus, which was 14th pick, that moved to the 19th pick. DC United will pick 17th pick first round. University of San Francisco, Miguel Aguilar for DC United. Again, folks, you always have to remember, those players will likely have a Major League Soccer career. Likely. You never know what's really going to happen. I apologize for that, folks. The Red Bulls are on the clock with 3 minutes and 33 seconds left right now on this AT&T MLS Super Draft presented by Adidas. That's a lot of sponsors for you. Aguilar, who just got picked by DC, is a 5'9", 172 pounds, 21 years old forward. Hometown Sacramento, California, from Mexico. So in DC, he's going to join the other Hispanic players that are in DC, who had a decent year after a very dismal 2013. They finished bottom of the league. 2014 came back, made the playoffs, made it to the final again. Well, they made it far in the CONCACAF Champions League. So DC had a great 2014 rebound year, and it'll be interesting to see what Aguilar brings them next year if he ever plays for DC United. Because the percentages of the play, they're so small. After the top 10, and even better, after the top 5, the chance of you playing in Major League Soccer are really small. Yes, very small. So coming up on 2 hours and 15 minutes live here, tweets from Sat Donovan is going to be a steal. Seems that Benito has been whispering to the MLS GMs, hating on the NASL guys, right? Probably, says probably. Leo Stoltz for the Red Bulls in the 18th draft pick. Right now, the 19th draft pick will be Columbus because of the earlier trade of Colorado and Columbus. So right now, Columbus will pick in 19th spot on the draft right now. And we have some Red Bulls fans present at the draft right now, and they're actually chirping New York City FC's team. Already, that rivalry has begun, and it's just the first day of the draft. Who knew? Who knew? But the player they just booked, Leo Stoltz, might be looking for opportunity abroad, especially in Europe. So he might not be playing for New York at all, ever. He might not even sign that contract. But they convinced him. They're trying to convince him. They decided to draft him. And we will see if we ever see Leo Stoltz in Major League Soccer. He did not go to the Combine. He did not sign that contract. They had discussion with Leo Stoltz, but Leo Stoltz never signed a contract with the league. So it's a risk by New York. And I don't know what you think about it, Duane, but at New York, drafting a guy like Leo Stoltz, who has ambition in Europe without being contracted or committed to MLS, it's a risk.
I can't wait for the jokes for people suggesting they're drafting him from Manchester, like they'd have an interest in him. But at any rate,
it's the other New York, but yeah.
At this, the other New York. Okay, I had to reboot my computer again.
Yep, technology.
That's fine. Yeah, that's the thing, that at this stage of the draft, I don't have an issue with that for any team to do that, because the talent you're going to get that's that's not committed, doesn't have European aspirations, is nowhere near as good. So maybe you get the rights for him because MLS has ridiculous rules about that if they offer him kind of like a qualifying offer. Then you might get talent down the line, and it might not be that you feel that you're not going to get anything that's going to help you immediately. So you might as well do roll the dice. It's a higher risk, higher reward kind of play.
True, but again, it's a risky movie. It's reminiscent of those NHL team there are big Russian players that have never been to North America. It's always a risk when you choose a guy that openly is trying to be a European player. You might try to convince him more. You might do whatever you can to convince him. Usually it doesn't work. We saw that in Montreal last year too. Yeah,
well, but again, the drafts are ultimately about risk and reward, right?
And like I was saying while you were gone, the percentages of players actually playing that are picked right now, it's so small that it doesn't really matter anyways.
Yeah, it's a silly thing here. In terms of, I suppose we should talk a little bit about how we're going to wrap this. We will stay on this till the completion of the draft or until I'm making an arbitrary decision here, Kevin, until quarter to three.
Quarter to three?
Yeah, quarter to three because the Canadian U20s are on at 3. So many of us that are listening to this now are going to be interested in that game more than this, especially
Duane,
at that stage of things.
There's 2 picks left in the first round, so let's finish the first round, and I think let's call it a day after the first round.
Okay, so we're going to finish the first round, then we'll wrap it up quick, and then we'll encourage everyone, and we'll take a break and get ourselves something to eat, and come back and watch the kids play. Watch the first overall pick in the MLS Super Draft play for Canada in a very important game at the U20 qualifying.
Absolutely, and right now, if you missed the beginning, we've been on for 2 hours, so if you missed a little bit of that, you can go on YouTube after we've done this show. It'll be up forever, for eternity, so you can listen to us banter about the draft forever.
Absolutely. All right, Kansas City appears to be on the draft here. Well, apparently they scout the college game very well. That's Bruce Arena.
Kansas City and LA left in the 21st spot.
One of the things that Bruce Arena always gets, he ends up getting picks late that turn out, and everyone sort of speaks to that as being his ability to find talent. I think it's more his ability to develop talent, to be able to coach and find a skill that he can mold. And again, that's what we've talked about a lot in the last half of this first round, is that they're looking for guys that can mold, looking for little tiny skills, height, speed, stuff like that. Was there a memo that went out to not wear a tie on the MLS draft coverage? Is that an internet thing, do you think, Kevin?
I guess. Well, I missed the memo of putting 3 guys that nobody knows, too. And for guys like you and me who watch a lot of MLSsoccer.com things, who are those 3 guys? Still, it's been 2 hours in the show. Still can't put a name in the face of those guys.
I haven't. Yeah, they're probably college coaches. I haven't really been paying attention, to be honest. But if someone on Twitter tell us, who are they?
And we see Bruce Arena talking to his team on the table, making sure he gets a name. And who knows right now? Who would you pick in the last round? Who knows? The last pick of the first round. It's a crapshoot right now. But again, when you mentioned that Bruce Arena usually have decent pick, I think you're right. He develops probably better. Or maybe he hides the weakness of the player better and is trying to work with their strength. He's good at that.
Yes. I love that they have team needs for the LA Galaxy.
Especially the Steven Gerrard arrives in July in the bottom.
Yeah. The LA Galaxy team needs. Conquer.
Right midfield, that's a Donovan replacement.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah. Oh, poor LA. That's all they have out there. 3 of the last 4 titles. Terrible.
Yeah. They're only going to have 2 DPs right now. What are they going to do? Oh, that's true. Gonzalez. Yeah. Well, they got Keane, Gonzalez, and Gerrard, so it's free.
Yes. I'm reading Travis Clark, who everyone knows is a big development guy. Says that right now there are, just a quick count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players that have signed MLS pre-existing draft deals, so they have someone has indicated interest in them, and they have an MLS contract in place that have yet to be drafted. So 7 players, that is. Currently, Connor Donovan being the one that probably is the most surprising for people.
A Generation Adidas player, so it's surprising that they're going in the second round now.
And I'm also seeing on Twitter just people pointing out that the Thunder Bay Chill, which have run a good PDL program for the last year, as I said, the kid was drafted, getting a shout out there, and people complimenting them for the program they've run over the past couple of years. So it's been a good Canadian draft, actually. Then, if you think about it that way, Thunder Bay Chill getting a little bit of a shout out. The 2 Canadian kids picked, Kyle Lauren, the first overall pick, of course. So good draft for Canada today.
Yep, you're right, but it's like you say, it's great for the future of the Canadian national team too, because now I'm implicated, I'm not in Canada. We're developing a little bit better than we used to, and I think we're starting to see this with last year's draft and this year's as well.
Yeah, and the final pick of the first round.
Final pick of the first round, Duane.
A forward. Well, breaking the trend.
Iona College. Ignacio Magato.
All right, so Ignacio Magato. Sounds like a song from the 80s or something.
Yep, and that was the first round for you. Hope you enjoyed it.
Apparently, there's 5-minute break in the second round starts. The picks will come rapid in the second round. He's from Madrid. He tore up the combine. This is an indication of LA's wealth, really. They can afford to take a guy like this. They've got the LA2 out there as well that they can place him in to try and develop. And he's a small, undersized guy. They don't typically do well in MLS, but they can develop this guy, and they don't need anything, so they can pick a flyer like this, right?
That's a good way to see it, because they can afford for him to be a waste pick if he never makes it, but he can be one of those surprises that Bruce Arena is really known for. A young, small, technical player from Spain being picked in the last round, last pick of the first round. That's impressive for.
He's very Spanish hair.
Yes, well, he's very Spanish.
Spanish, yeah. Spanish.
Yeah, that's more Spanish.
Spanish. Oh, we're gonna see some combine highlights here. I guess the questions in the second round. There are several players that have signs that might go. We have the young Holette that may be in the mix. We're not going to stay on and do blow-by-blow coverage for this. As we said, we've been doing this. It's exactly 2 hours. We just rolled over here.
Yep.
Kevin and I will wrap this up quickly. We do thank you for listening. One last reminder on the Scalawags Voyageurs tomorrow. We do like to get people out to watch and support the Canadian national team. It's always good to have a group out even in the middle of the day. I appreciate it's 4:30. It's going to be tough for a lot of people, but helps bars give us the space, right? So we don't want to completely call and tell them we're going to be there and have 2 people show up. So if you can, get out there.
And don't forget, at 3 o'clock today, you get the U20s in Canada playing in Jamaica in the CONCACAF qualification for the New Zealand World Cup next year.
Okay, on that note, guys, that's Kevin. We will wrap this up in a more formal podcast. Obviously, we'll talk off air, but I don't think there's any need to go. I don't know. Do you want to? We could do another one. We'll talk. Maybe we might do one Friday. We might not. You just have to wait, folks, and find out, like the rest of us, right, Kevin?
Yep, and last question that we were just been asked right now on Twitter by Vince. I have no idea where Merle is projected to go. I guess we'll find out really soon in the second round, and it's going to start in about 5 minutes. So watch the second round quickly, then watch Canada U20.
Yeah, and we'll talk to you then. We're going to do 5 rings. We have a good guest for 5 rings. A nice little story that we're following there about some doping allegations and some maybe corruption in Russian athletics. And I think that's going to be a really interesting conversation that we booked for Monday. So if you're a 5 rings listener, you look forward to that. And we'll wrap the draft coverage up. We'll probably do one Friday, Kevin, won't we?
Yeah, probably, eventually. We'll
All
find
right.
time.
In the meantime,
have a great soccer, and don't fall asleep.
I don't want to drop the phone. Bye, guys.
Bye.